Grassroots Sessions.
In my country, they took all the land and they divided it up into prisons for lambs, and they chopped down the trees and they sprayed all the weeds so that nothing would grow but grass. One day we'll watch it grow back. In my country, they killed all the wolves and they poisoned the rabbits, and the badgers were cold, and there was nowhere to run for the wild animals, because the cows and the lambs stood on divided up land with no trees to shade them at all. One day we'll watch it all fall. In my country, they call it a crime to plant seeds and feed them with water and light, for cannabis is illegal and they can lock you inside for growing herbs in your garden to heal your insides. It's time to speak out. In my country, they sell all the foods that the scientists say are bad for you, and on hospital wards they serve foods that can cause all the illnesses, death and disease. One day we'll get what we need. In my country, they say that God is a man. They say that woman was made from his rib by his hand. They say that God is a he, the creator of it all. And while the mothers of man gave birth to everybody on earth, all her books were burnt, her stories never learned. In my country, they build all the bombs to sell to other countries. Am I right or the wrongs? Because violence is heroic if the establishment says, and murder becomes legal when the army is paid to keep on killing babies, and it's all in our name. The capture and the rape and the genocide shame. My country, the people decided that they are much stronger when they're not divided, and they joined all their hands and they took back the land, and they taught all their children to see that everyone born should be free.
Thank you so much for joining us for Grassroots Sessions. These are made possible by our patrons who are supporting us through our Patreon. And yeah, we've got a beautiful community blossoming there. If you would like to join us on Patreon, check out the link below this video. We literally couldn't do these without your support, so thank you so much. We're trying to release these every few days, and yeah, it's definitely helping us through this difficult time when we can't be doing gigs. So yeah, thank you so much for everyone who's getting joy and gratitude and sending us wonderful messages in response to these videos. Yeah, so today's song is called In My Country. Katie wrote it. It's an incredible song. It's one of my most favourite songs ever, and I feel so honoured to have accompanied on piano today. So thank you, beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I really loved the piano, actually. I think that's like the first time I've ever tried.
It is, yeah.
We was like, let's do it in my country, and then Alex said, I could play some piano, and then you just played that amazing. He's so good at accompanying me, because I play like in such a random time signature. I just flow with my emotions, and you're really good at accompanying.
Thank you.
Yeah, I loved that, and I kind of wish we recorded it like that on the album now.
No, it's good to have a fresh take.
Well, the song is on our 2020 Vision album, and you can hear that. You can download it from our website and support us directly, and or you can hear it on online stores
Spotify,
like Spotify, and
we have a music video as well.
Oh yeah, there's a music video to the song. Check it out. It's on our YouTube channel.
That's it.
We made it ourselves, just editing together stock footage, and it's really we love it. It's very powerful. Yeah. So felt like I might just talk through the song verse by verse and just talk about what the inspirations were, and tell you guys a bit about the song. I sang the song a bit differently in this version. You may have noticed that if you've heard the album version, because the line on the album is in my country they took all the land and they divided it up into squares with their hands. But on this version I sang, the original lyric was, they divided it up into prisons for lambs. And I sang it like that just because our beautiful friends, the X family, who really inspired this song,
I love you guys.
They prefer that version, and so I sang it like that for those guys. So the first verse is very much about the whole song actually is about the ancient lineage of the British Isles, or Bridget's Isles as it was originally known. Bridget is the ancient goddess, and this ancient land was once flourishing with wildlife and paganism and nature worship. So I was singing about sort of the destruction of the wildlife. In a way, we've done a lot of travelling through the UK for our gigs, and we just see field after field after field, on and on and on forever, of just divided up squares, fences, walls with animals inside, and no wildlife, no trees. All the wildlife just killed to protect the domesticated animals. And that's that verse, just about the sadness of that. And then same with the second verse. In my country, they killed all the wolves, poisoned the rabbits, and the badgers were culled. And again, it's just about the destruction of the wildlife that we have here in Bridget's Isles, and also about the domesticated animals who are living in these square boxes, how they have no trees to shade under, because not only have we killed all the wild animals, but we've killed all of the habitats that the animals were living in. We've chopped down a lot of the trees, so many ancient trees in the UK, and so many more being destroyed even now at the HS2 site. Massive love and respect to the activists who are fighting against that. I mean, I was born in the UK. My lineage is Lancashire as far back as it goes, and Irish as well on my dad's side. And I think that's the line, in my country repeated over and over again. But so many people have actually messaged saying how and people from all over the world, people living in America, people living in Israel, people living in all sorts of places, saying how the song resonates with them as well. And then the third verse, actually, I get a lot of messages about as well. I get a lot of people sharing the song and saying how much they love the song, but they hate the verse about the drugs, which is so funny because, drug means dried herb, and cannabis is such an incredible dried herb. It's an amazing medicinal plant. If you know of our work, we run the Hemp Redemption Festival, and we have the Hemp Redemption stage, and we do a lot of educating about hemp cannabis and the many infinite uses. And this particular verse is about the medicinal properties of the plant and how it can be used as a medicine, and it has been used as a medicine since ancient times. We know personally people who have cured incurable illnesses and cancers with high THC cannabis oil. In fact, the very verse is really inspired by our beautiful friend Callie Blackwell. She's an amazing cannabis activist with an incredible story. Please check out her story. She wrote an amazing book called The Boy in 1 Billion, and what a story she has. I don't want to tell you the story because I want you to go and check it out, but her son basically was cured from an incurable illness, he was sent to a hospice to die, and he's still alive today, thanks to cannabis oil. So that's what that verse is about. And everyone should be able to grow herbs in their garden to heal themselves and their loved ones. So then the next verse is about the foods. So I remember actually writing this song and thinking, this is I need to write some positive verses in this song, because there's so many positive things about our country, but it's just the way the song came through. And so it's about the sort of foods that are marketed to people, and how, you know, it's quite interesting in these times now where the whole of society has been locked down to apparently alleviate stress on the NHS, but the massive food companies like McDonald's and Burger King are still selling these processed meats that have been proven to cause colorectal cancer. It's literally on the cancer research website tells you that processed meat eaten in these amounts can cause colorectal cancer, and yet these companies are allowed to sell it and create massive burden on the NHS. Heart disease, a leading cause of death for humans. And hospitals, where we spent a lot of time in hospital with our first son who had a complex heart condition, and we were just so appalled at the food they were serving to people in there, and meant to be a place of healing and a place of health. One of the things we learned is that a plant-based diet, a whole food plant-based diet, is like the only diet that's been proven to reverse heart disease. So heart disease is the clogging up of the arteries with cholesterol and saturated fat caused by eating these highly processed foods. And so a whole food plant-based diet has literally been proven to reverse that. So you don't need surgery to cut the arteries or anything. They've got scans showing people's arteries clogged up, and then scans months later, years later, after this whole food plant-based diet, and the artery is totally clear. So it's totally reversible. And that's what that verse is about. And then, sorry, I'm just talking loads.
I love it. It's amazing. I heard this song being manifested over a few years, and it's just incredible to reflect on it and listen to you talking about it. Yeah. So inspiring to so many of us. Thank you.
And then what's the next verse is? This is the verse that always gets me and always makes me cry. And so many people, so many women especially talk to me about this verse. And it's about growing up in a country where we're constantly told that God is a man, and always called it a he, and in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and just there being no mention of the feminine in talks of the divine. And in fact, in Christianity, the feminine is represented always as a sinful, negative. The only way you can be a good woman in Christianity is if you're a virgin mother, and it's something that all mothers will know is an impossible thing to be. And I just remember growing up around the church, and I had friends who were Muslim, and just these patriarchal religions that represent God as a man. And I just feel like when women are giving birth to everyone, and women create a human being in their womb, like with the hands and the heartbeat and all of the blood vessels and the intricate workings of a human being, a woman just creates that whole thing in her womb. How have we got these doctrines based on the idea that woman was made from a rib of a man, and that God, the creator of everything, is a man? And I personally would have loved to have read the ancient lineage of woman as well. It's amazing reading these texts from 2,000 years ago and learning about how people lived back then, and learning about the way people created morality within their societies. But I really would have loved to have read about how women were giving birth, how they were breastfeeding, how they were dealing with bleeding every month. Just so much of that lineage has just been burnt, it's been lost, it's not been documented, it's been degraded, it's been called dirty.
It's not been cherished. They've not built churches in honour of it.
Yeah, imagine churches that celebrate the divine feminine and the divine masculine. We go to Glastonbury a lot, and there's goddess temples there that celebrate
in the UK,
Glastonbury town, not the festival, and they have goddess temples that celebrate the feminine, the mama, the mother, the Gaia, the cycles of blood, and in alignment with the moon. All these amazing, and like I say, the ancient Bridget's Isles had religions far predating Christianity, Islam, Judaism, that were basically celebrating the mother goddess and the cycles of the feminine with the moon, and how that was in alignment with the masculine. I don't want to degrade the masculine. I want to celebrate and honor both. Yeah, so that's very much what that verse is about.
Such a powerful verse. It's inspired me so much as a songwriter, that verse.
Wow.
Like, I love it. And yeah, it's just thank you.
Oh, bless you. That's so wonderful. Yeah, and all the women that were burnt, and all of their stories, and the wisdom that was burnt along with them, and their books. You know, it's absolutely awful. But I think that we can remember those things, and we can reclaim it. And the verse after that is about the arms industry and the way that our country builds weapons that kill people and sell them to other countries, who then use them weapons to kill people. How we're totally implicit in that, and just how atrocious that is, and how disgusting that is, and it has no place in a modern civilized society. They call it defense industry, but ultimately they're selling planes to Saudi Arabia, who are then using those weapons for whatever political reasons they want, just causing mass harm and pain to little babies and families and human beings with hearts that beat like ours. That's what that verse is about. And then as I was writing this song, I was thinking, wow, this is quite heavy. And there's been times when I've sang it round a fire, you know, and everyone's just gotten really solemn, and there's people next to me just sobbing their hearts out. And it is a really sad song. Like, I can't I feel like it's just come through, you know, but it's just come through that sad. But then I wanted there to be like a hopeful verse at the end of the song that, in fact, there used to be another verse before the hopeful verse that I decided to not include it in the song, because for one, the song was already quite long and it was already quite sad, and I just felt like this verse on top of it would just make it even sadder. So I ended up taking it out, but that song was really inspired by the X family as well, and the things they were teaching us at the time about birth certificates. And
yeah.
In fact, maybe I should play the verse.
Yeah, do. And also we'll link the X family beneath this video, because they are incredible. Thank
Amazing
you. We love
family.
you guys.
Yeah.
And also we'll link Callie Blackwell as well beneath this video, because she's incredible, and she's obviously inspired Katie. They've both inspired Katie so much for this song.
So this verse used to be in the song, and I apologise for not including it. It felt like the song was sort of okay the way it was, and this verse is a great verse, but it was too long with it, and maybe we should have recorded it on the album, but it used to go
it's the people are sworn, isn't it?
In my country the people are sworn to a sovereign queen before they are born, to a certificate in waiting to be birthed in the dark, a servant to her majesty and a slave to the clock. Bloodlines of families whose histories are awash with brutal acts of slavery and crimes that were forgotten. Their museums full up, see how they've stolen the lot from faraway lands and from other people's hands. And Her Majesty's servants just keep on keeping in line. And then what was the one day?
We'll see the light.
One day they'll see the light. Yeah, something like that. And yeah, that used to be in the song, just about, you know, especially the UK where we're from, the royal family and the influence that has on the citizens that live in the UK. And again, the X family were teaching us about birth certificates and the language of admiralty and the language of the sea, and how when you're born through a birth canal, and you're birthed like a ship is birthed, and you have to have a certificate when you birth a ship, and how when a child is born they become the property of the sovereign queen. They were teaching us a lot about stuff like this.
Yeah, check them out. They go really deep.
They do share some incredible information. They're really
That's the X
They do a lot about etymology and language, and they've just taught us so much.
Spelling.
Yeah, spelling. Yeah, we love those guys. So that was the verse that used to be second to last, but again, I wanted it to have this hopeful feel at the end of the song. I have to really
couldn't get to the hope quicker, eh?
Yeah.
He took a verse out.
Yeah, so the hopeful line is
the people decided.
That's right. That they are much stronger when they're not divided, and that line is about people coming together in the common cause of taking back that land that was taken from them. So people used to live on the land in the UK, and they would create their own abundance. But what happened was the people were ushered into the cities to work in the factories, and the land was taken over by tenants, and these tenants were the domesticated animals, the sheep and the cows, and people were ushered into the factories to work in the mills, and the land was then used for the domesticated animals, and the government still pays a subsidy for each animal kept on the land even today, so that the animals are essentially tenants of that land where the people used to live. We used to have common land that we could all use for our common needs, and more that has been taken away. The nomadic way of life has been criminalised. People used to travel from common land to common land and living in a nomadic way, and now so much of the land is owned by the Queen or owned by private owners that everywhere you go is considered trespass these days. So the hope that we could take that back, there's an incredible organisation called the Land Justice Network, and they educate people on the land in the UK and point out where common land still exists, and educate people on how they can reclaim that land, because so much of it has just been bought up now, and then the other hope was that we may have a safe place to watch our children grow and to educate them about the ancient lineage of this land. So it kind of aims to end on a hopeful note of
it does,
of like
cheers me up, that last verse.
It's like, oh thank God, we've got hope. We can come together, and especially in these times, we're living in such divisive times where people are being separated on so many levels, whether it's like politics. You've got a different politics than me, or you've got a different skin colour than me, or you've got a different sex than me. There's all these different ways of separating, and I think if we can just come together under a common unity of understanding that we're all human and we all want the same thing. We want we want to see our family flourish. We want to have loving connections together. So the song definitely ends on a hopeful note, and I really hope that you enjoyed hearing about this song and hearing the verse that never made the final song. I'm sorry I just spoke so long. Do you want to say anything?
I'm just blown away by just all the information there that you shared, and I just can't express how much you've inspired me as a songwriter, and that's such a pinnacle of songwriting for me. And
we write so differently, me and Alex, because Alex, sometimes I've watched so many times, you literally just sit and a song will just come out in like an hour, and you've got this full song, like loads of words and loads of melodies, and I'm just like, wow, that's insane, because I'll like spend years forming this one song that I then now, I don't know if you've seen that film where, what is it called, Walk the Line, where that guy says to the guy in the studio, is like, if you had one song to sing before you die, and,
I think I do in my country.
Then I always feel like that. So whenever I'm sat around a fire and there's people there and the people are sharing songs, I always want to sing that song, because I think, if I died tomorrow, I just want to share that song. And I just spent so long trying to bring it through, and I don't know, I just feel
I think for me, reflecting on it, I think it's the song it's trying to express it's trying to reflect on the society we've been born into, and then we're aware of the history and the atrocities that's led us to this society, and although there are many privileges we now benefit from all of those atrocities, such as human slavery and still today even animal slavery, I think the song's trying to call for unity. Together we are much stronger, and the notion that we should be able to celebrate diversity, but still have a common unity that binds us, as a human race, and sort of move together towards a more beautiful and harmonious existence for everyone. Everyone deserves that right. No one should be in some dark corner in a warehouse making clothes for the rich to sell to a working class or a middle class. And I'm just so grateful for that, and it just literally does inspire me as a songwriter so much to hear that and to have seen it come into fruition. So thank you.
And thank you for joining us for this grassroots session. It's been a beautiful honour to share some info about that song. If you have any questions about the song, do let us know in the comments below. If you'd like to let us know what you think of the song, that would be amazing as well. Please share the video, and please join us on Patreon if you can. Thank you so much to all our amazing patrons. Your names are at the end of this video. We love you so much.
I do. Thank you.
And can't wait to see you for our next Grassroots. See you soon.
Grassroots Sessions is made possible by our wonderful patrons who support us on Patreon. Thank you so much to all of you beautiful beings.
Please join our Patreon today to help us create more videos. Donations are also very welcome here.